Thank you so much. I'm really honored to be here. I'm going to make myself a little more comfortable, if you guys don't mind. Yes. And thank you so much, Khalil, for sharing your notes, because I think I will do something very similar to what you did in the kind of eye of an artist who grew up here. My experience with UAE started almost 15 years ago, and I wanted to perhaps just do a few slides first to obviously talk about myself, because that's what we do at talks. We present ourselves first. I landed in Dubai in 2010, and I had very little knowledge about culture here and very little experience. I grew up in Moscow. I was working with one of the private collections in Moscow. And then here I started with, interning at Art Dubai, because I realized that the best way to learn something is to jump into a role and learn. So then I was really lucky to join Green Art Gallery. It's a Syrian-owned gallery that is in Alserkal Avenue, a fantastic program. I'm going to talk about them a little more in the next slides. We were really blessed to travel around the world and present the artists that we shown at art fairs in Brussels, Milan, and Paris, and all across. I think it was always interesting to see the eyes opening of Western collectors who pass by and see the booth and say, "Oh, there is art in Dubai. There are galleries in Dubai. Wow!" And then I, starting from 2013, was publishing an art guide here in the UAE, which is part of the umbrella called My Art Guides. The publication was born in Venice, Italy, for Venice Biennale, and then expanded to cover major international art fairs like Art Basel, and I was the one in charge of the Art Dubai edition. It was published once a year in March, and it was covering all the galleries, exhibitions, exhibition spaces, but also looking at restaurants and cafes and hotels where you can find creative community. So I think that really shaped my understanding and knowledge of Dubai. I think again by researching, by meeting people, and I was always happy to share my experience and to suggest some spaces to go to those who are traveling to Dubai. Which is often eye-opening again, because they see the glitzy buildings like the one on the back on the picture, but then you need to really dig a little deeper to find what's cultural and what's interesting. I was blessed to join Alserkal Avenue in 2016, and I changed different roles there, starting with community relations as the district was growing, as the expansion was opening. It was doubled the size in 2016, and then in 2017 we opened Concrete, which is a wonderful building designed by Rem Koolhaas. I was doing all the exhibitions and partnerships with other institutions and also commercial events, so it's also balancing the two. With COVID, unfortunately, I had to move, had to take some time off, and then continued as an external consultant, but still in love with the team. And some highlights here with Concrete, for example. The image here is a beautiful exhibition that we've done with the Samdani Foundation from Bangladesh. It was showing a number of artists from South and Southeast Asia. There is, by the way, Diana Campbell-Debencourt, who was curating this show, is soon curating a biennale in Uzbekistan, in Bukhara. I really encourage you to go and see. Some tours that we were doing. I think it's always fun to do tours and to talk about the artists and artworks. This was a show in collaboration with Whitechapel Gallery from London. And until recently, I was managing the pop-up space of Galleria Continua, which is a renowned Italian gallery that exists almost 35 years. And we had a space in the Burj Al Arab hotel, which, again, not many people, I guess, think as a cultural destination. And initially, the pop-up was planned for 3 months, but it lasted for 3 years, which was a fantastic experience. And so now I wanted to, after talking about myself, let's talk about the landscape. And yes, I really wanted to share, I guess, very personal views and what I've learned so far. And I think perhaps quite a few people have moved to the UAE who are sitting in the audience, have come to here quite recently. And I think it's always great to have some background and knowledge of what was happening before, even though my time here was quite limited as well. I think it's great to first and foremost understand that the Arab region has such a rich culture, and especially when it comes to modern art. I like to bring this example, when people talk about biennales and, contemporary art events, that the first biennale of the Arab art was hosted in Baghdad in Iraq in 1974. And of course, there are a great number of artists of that generation across the Middle East, across the Levant and North Africa, who really shaped what art is today for us here. The image with the work that you see of Iraqi artists, it was, I think, very striking to see this image traveling around, as it was part of Barjil's collection. It was shown at Whitechapel Gallery and other institutions across the world. So really, it's that kind of strong representation of Arab modern art. But the first steps in the UAE, like Khalil already mentioned, started in 1980 with Emirates Fine Arts Society. And this was a place for artists to meet and to learn together and to practice, to experiment. And the place is still existing. It's located in Sharjah. And of course, Sharjah, I think of the three Emirates we usually discuss between Sharjah, Dubai, and Abu Dhabi. It is the capital of Arab culture, indeed, and all the growth of the community and fantastic artists that we know today started in Sharjah. And mind you, the Biennale of Sharjah was first hosted in 1993, again, way ahead of its time. I think in Moscow we had the first one in 2001 only, but still Sharjah, I think, is one of the strongest Biennales in the region and even globally in terms of its curatorial approach, in terms of the care of artists and curators. And it's not, I think, what's very different about Sharjah Biennale is also it's not created for marketing purposes. It's not to attract tourism. It's not to get investments. It is to share artistic vision. It is to have sometimes difficult discussions as well. The subjects that are brought, especially at the previous, the latest Biennale that we saw, were very, very strong. So this is the image. And in 2003, Sheikh Akhour Al-Qasimi was appointed as the curator of Sharjah Biennale. And with the establishment of the Sharjah Art Foundation in 2009, kind of those initiatives have cemented and really rooted even further and to grow to what it is now. And while in Sharjah, I think it was more of artistic communities and with the support of Sheikh Akhour, the growth of the Sharjah Art Foundation. In Dubai, I think it's all about entrepreneurs. It's all about young businesses, young gallerists. At the Green Art Gallery, where I was lucky to work as my first gallery, established in 1995 in Dubai, originally by two sisters who had their first gallery in Syria, in Homs, in the 80s. But so one of the sisters, Maya Atassi, pictured here with the brochure of the catalog, I guess, of the exhibition. So this was a villa in Jumeirah, which unfortunately doesn't exist anymore because it had to be demolished for the canal. But it was really working as a living space, as the exhibition space at the same time. And many artists, especially from Syria and some from Iraq and Egypt, really grew together with this gallery. I mean, Fatah Modares, Ismail Fatah, like those names that you see for modern art sales in Christie's and Sotheby's with like record prices, did actually grow together with the gallery. And in 1996, One by One gallery opened, focusing on Indian art. So I guess, again, looking at communities here, we do have, and the art influences, there is a big influence of Arab artists from across the region, but also Indian artists. And then, yes, Majlis Gallery also opened in 1995. It was in Bastakia, and same place where I think it still exists, but not very active. It's more kind of a destination for travelers who experience the older part of Dubai, so that's a great introduction as well. But since early 2000s, there was a rapid growth, I think, in terms of contemporary art scene in Dubai. Tabari Art Space opened in 2003, and this is really, I think, the only gallery left in the financial center who is really focusing on younger voices and conceptual work and really supporting a new generation of artists. Financial Center was established in 2004, and when I landed in Dubai, DIFC was the place to go for art. Definitely, there was the top galleries, and the art nights in DIFC was something of next level. I think it was really, really inspiring. But then the third line opened in 2005 in Al Quoz. It was away from Alserkal, and Alserkal didn't really form yet at that stage. So Third Line really was the first proper contemporary gallery with a very experimental program with lots of talks. The image here is by Slavs and Tatars, the artists who would, talk about the region from Eurasia, and we exhibited Slavs and Tatars in Moscow, and they were the first connection, I think, for me with the region and get some understanding. Ayam, established in 2006, and then Christie's and Bonhams, I think with those years pre-crisis, I think the growth of art scene and sales-wise, commercially, first of all, was very strong. And then 2007, Gulf Art Fair was funded, which later rebranded as Art Dubai. As we know, of course, this is our moment of time every year during spring where we all come together, and really it's a big celebration. First galleries in Alserkal Avenue opened in 2008. It was Ayam as well, so while they already had the space in Financial Center, then in Alserkal they acted more as experimental, almost a non-profit space. Meanwhile, in Abu Dhabi, the kind of growth was also very different to Dubai. Yes, we all know it's very much led by the vision of the government and the royal family. The establishment of TDIC, which was called back in the day Tourism Development and Investment Company. So we see that the tourism investments, marketing, it's in culture, it's all as a one government body. And of course, their approach is very different to what we see in Dubai and in Sharjah. Everyone, I guess, was very excited with the first announcement of the big museums coming at Louvre and the Guggenheim. So the Guggenheim, as we see now in Saadiyat, is in full force with the construction. They're promising to finish the build by end of next year, hopefully maybe even earlier. The Louvre has really become a destination. I remember it was difficult in the first days, perhaps, if you come on a weekday, and there will be barely any visitors, but now you have to stand in a queue, you have to, it's becoming like a destination for really everyone to experience it. That's fantastic to see. Abu Dhabi Art started in 2009 as Art Paris. Actually, it's important to remember that with the involvement of the French, with the Louvre Abu Dhabi, and I guess the president of France at that time, Jacques Chirac, was very much involved in these cultural diplomacy agreements, and that's why if you're driving around Saadiyat, you will see Jacques Chirac Street at the cultural district. There are some, speculations and rumors about Abu Dhabi Art soon being rebranded as a different global art fair, but we'll see. We haven't heard any announcements yet. In 2010s, where I moved here and I really experienced it in person, was a rapid, very, very quick growth, and luckily I was able to somehow also contribute with this growth. More galleries opening in Dubai. I mean, right now, I'm losing count. There are so many new spaces and galleries. National Pavilion of the UAE in Venice was established, showing a fantastic program, and now having its permanent location in Arsenale. Alserkal Avenue has expanded, like I said, with addition of concrete. Warehouse 41 opened in Abu Dhabi, which is the first kind of initiative on its kind, and now it's great to see that the whole district of Mina Zayed is also growing with MISA project, bringing more entrepreneurs, and it's becoming another great experience. I don't know how I'm doing with time. No. I think we're okay. Okay, good. Well, I'm almost done with my slides. Yeah, of course, I guess for us in Dubai, it was very important to have the establishment of a non-profit arts center, which acts as a museum, which is Jamil Art Center. But again, still what we have nowadays in Dubai is very much privately led, privately owned, privately focused, with support and vision by Dubai Culture. But I think it's fantastic that there is not like a strong line and, you know, sort of restrictions or something like it. Really, the art market is blooming for the reason of support, for the reason of you know, open possibilities. With Alco's creative zone being established, I think, as a vision of the government, it's really becoming more clear that the whole area, which is huge, it's so vast, and soon will organically redevelop as spaces for arts and culture, which is really exciting. I think post-COVID, we all witnessed another new spike in the interest. Of course, we see how many people are coming to Dubai now. The traffic is becoming unbearable. You know, you cannot book a hotel or a restaurant. You really need to think and plan in advance. But this is great, and I think Dubai is now becoming as a like, more stronger center for also like big international voices with Galleria Continua, with whom I've been happy to collaborate for many years, and I'm still in touch, who first brought a solo show by celebrity artist Anish Kapoor. Effie Gallery that opened in Al Avenue across in Al Quoz brought a solo show by Ellen Achui, a fantastic artist from Ghana, but also Effie is the first gallery focused on African art and owned by African team. Sorry, I went too far. Basto Klassel, who is now called Gallery Perrotin, that had the partnership. Ulis Foundation, that did a fantastic show by Sterling Ruby, an American artist in concrete. And I think Prada Mode was a really interesting experiment coming to Dubai, with the picture that you see by a total installation of artist Damien Hirst, the pharmacy. It was really great to see art world and fashion world also collide in Dubai for the first time, because the crowds really are separate, and this was a really big celebration of the creatives together. I was really happy to witness that some of Russian colleagues who are coming to Dubai to make it their home are really, you know, were able to contribute and do something different. I mean, thank you for InLoco for organizing this today, but also very great initiatives that I was seeing was Tantitsan Gallery. He had the space in Alserkal that was a pop-up as well. Wonderful initiative called Mute. They did the first show in Foundry in 2022 with younger artists with Russian origin who had to travel abroad. And then more and more Nico project space and InLoco open storage in Hayat. Yeah, I guess exciting to see more and more of these new initiatives like Beit Al Mamzar, the programs of ICD Brookfield Place in the IFC. You know, although the IFC is such a commercial space, but ICD Brookfield really manages to support younger artists from the Arab world, first and foremost. Also performing art, you know, spaces like Tashkil where people can come and practice and get a studio. And education is becoming more, you know, stronger, and we see a lot of new artists emerging in the UAE who have been graduating from these universities and fantastic colleges of art and design. I mean, this is just a small list for you guys. Of course, Sheikh Salama bin Hamdan, who was having SIF as an initiative, really bringing new voices. My voice is a little off, but I'm happy to have some questions and answers if you would like.
Thank you. It was a very great overview of the whole things that happened in the past 20 years.
My personal vision, yes, again.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's a very joyful presentation because you've been mentioning those places we like to spend time during our leisure time, during weekends. But I'm ready to pass the mic for questions.
think I was the first time here in the UAE in 2000, so it's really nice to like listen to your presentation. You kind of also after Khalil, you kind of take us into like this kind of memory lane of what has happened, and it's really beautiful to see that like the energy of what happened was such a condensed moment, you know, in the early 2000s, and now it's become so diverse. So how do you map it? Like, I guess there's a question there.
How do I map it?
How can you map what's happening at the moment? I mean, like,
mapping is what I do professionally. You know, I love building routes for culture, and you know, working on an art guide for many years really helped me to learn more. Absolutely, but it's also, you know, I think at some point you just do it through word of mouth, and you find people who, you know, get excited about new galleries opening, about new pop-up shows. You know, there are places now that people do in their houses as salon, as something more private, not really advertising much, and that is also, you know, I think through communities we're bringing it together, and we're building it together and enjoying it as well. So I think my point of view here was very much kind of focused on the kind of art market side, you know, because I'm an art manager, I'm not an artist.
Yeah.
But I guess it's just joyful to be surrounded with like-minded people and just do something together.
yeah, just one more question that kept up a bit part self-interest. But I remember in the beginning of Art Dubai, they had also always like a design section somehow in the thing, and then there was a design week, and so design became separate. But in your talk, you bring it kind of together with fashion and art. Is there more initiatives happening like that?
I will share soon.
Okay.
I'm under NDA, but there is some exciting project coming for spring in the UAE, so I will let you know first.
Okay, great, thank you.
You want to ask?
Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
Oh, you want to say something?
Yeah, just a brief comment. I mean, first, very intriguing what is happening in spring. And second, I had a very brief question. Can we get somewhere your art guides?
So the publishing of physical guides unfortunately stopped. I think there's always that sort of conversation that it's kind of lacking in the UAE to have a consolidated database of everything that's going on. But like I said, at this point of time, it's becoming really difficult to keep track. So I guess we continue with social media also, because it's become such an important tool for us, and the algorithms are working in a particular way. So we only see what we like or what we don't like to see. Even like, you know, strong, it's always about strong sort of emotions. But yeah, I guess social media is the way to go, honestly, because no one really has time to read a text these days. No one has time to really research by themselves. So it's really kind of talking to each other and suggesting.
Well, thank you very much. I do agree also with Ms. Huda. It's really nice to see that, you know, the development, the history, and for us, because we've like, you know, seen all this development. It's nice to remember the change over here. I like to go back to the galleries when you mentioned about Metis Gallery. It's really interesting. Metis Gallery, you know, established by Alison, and it was the first gallery in Dubai. I think it's her home. She used it, and she used to do an activity, art activities. I think that's go back to late, maybe 1970s, maybe 78, 79. Being more active in 80s. Then the 80s, she turned to place, because when they asked to move out, she turned the space to be a gallery. And that was the first gallery opened in the Dubai. And that's the importance of the gallery itself. Lately, being like, you know, not that much active, the reason because Alison passed away. When she was around, it was like, you know, her heart was on it and was very active. Still, they do some activities, but maybe people, they don't hear a lot about it. But again, thank you very much.
Likewise, thank you.
Okay, I'm super sorry. It's going to be the last question I received in a forum, and then we can catch Aleksei later during the coffee break. So, Olga is asking, what would be your advice to a young gallery entering the UAE scene?
It's a very good question. I've heard lots of these over the past 2 years as the scene is growing, and thank you for bringing this up. I think opening a gallery is a really big undertaking, and there are so many factors you need to account into. who is your audience, who are your collector, how you're going to grow this, how you're going to approach them, how you're going to collaborate with government entities, whether it's required or not. But honestly, and this is something I was mentioning in my presentation as well, there are some initiatives like Mute Gallery who don't have their permanent space because it's more or less like artists and curators run without big investments because, I mean, getting the space, getting it fitted out, building a team, you know, it's a huge undertaking. Maybe it's always good to start small. In my personal opinion, it's good to start with pop-ups, with experimentation, you know, building your little community around you, and then grow together.
Sure. Thank you, Aleksei.